everybody, it's Lily and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be making macarons with my beautiful, amazing, and talented sister. So for me and those who don't know, what is a macaron?
So a macaron is a French sandwich cookie, and the shell consists of a meringue and almond flour, and then the middle is typically filled with like a buttercream. You could also do like a fruit filling, like a lemon curd or anything like that, or like a ganache. I typically like to stick with the buttercream just because like it's easy and it's delicious.
Yes.
So, and you can color it any color you want.
Yeah. So that's definitely a nice part of it. So you can make it whatever color you would like to.
Yeah. And since there's no actual flour in it, the macarons are naturally gluten-free.
Okay. So what's in the macarons?
So macarons are powdered sugar, almond flour, cream of tartar, egg whites, regular granulated sugar, and vanilla extract. And then if you want to make them a color, obviously food coloring, gel coloring works the best because it doesn't dilute your meringue. And then on top of that, you obviously need measuring cups and spoons, a rubber spatula, a mixing bowl, a mixer with a bowl, and the whisk attachment, and then a piping bag.
What is the first step to making macarons?
So the first thing we'll do is you'll take this bowl. So we're gonna measure out our almond flour. And so we need a cup of almond flour. And the way that you measure out flour, you don't just scoop it. You wanna take a spoon and we'll kind of fluff it up a little to make sure you get some air in there. And then you'll just scoop it out into the measuring cup, and then we'll level it off. Okay. So now you can pour that into the bowl. All right. So then, actually, I'm gonna give you that back. So now we're gonna put our powdered sugar in, and so this will be the same process. So you'll use the spoon. So this is the same process. You'll use the spoon and kind of fluff it up, and then scoop it into the measuring cup. Okay, so now we are going to take this mixture and put it in the food processor. You typically want to do just kind of a few pulses. You don't want to like go completely crazy, but really what we're trying to do is help kind of make that almond flour a little bit finer and mix it together with the powdered sugar really well. Okay. So let's go pop that in there.
So we just put this in the food processor and then we sifted it back into the bowl.
And when you sift, sometimes there will be bigger chunks left in the sifter. You don't want to force those through the screen. Those can just get tossed in the garbage because any big chunks that end up in there, that'll make your macaron, it won't give you that fine texture. There might be weird lumps or bubbles in your shell. So now that this is done, we're going to set it aside.
So now we are going to be moving on to the meringue.
So to make a meringue is basically just whipped egg whites with sugar. So you cracked these eggs earlier. So we've got 3 egg whites that were separated. The yolks you can use for anything like hollandaise sauce, like lemon meringue pie or something like that. But we just need the whites for this.
And they also are room temperature.
Yep. So we've got 3 egg whites that Lily cracked earlier, and they've come to room temperature, which is more optimal for whipping. So if you want to just pour those in there. And you want to make sure that your bowl is either metal or glass, because when you're doing this, sometimes plastic bowls can absorb like different oils and things like that, and it can make it harder to whip. Okay. The next thing we're going to add is cream of tartar. You're going to do a teaspoon of that, and you can just stick that in and scoop it. And what this does is it stabilizes the eggs to make it able to whip the meringue. Otherwise, they'll just get foamy and nothing will really happen. Okay, so you can start the mixer. We have the whisk attachment on. You'll want to use that. Otherwise, if you have like a handheld mixer, anything with a whisk, you can even do it by hand if you are feeling super strong. And you want to do it at somewhat of a high speed. One, yeah. It's not a big deal if you accidentally splash it a little more. You just don't want it to be too liquidy. Now that our meringue's done, we're gonna add the flour and you're gonna fold it in gently until it's all mixed together. So I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle it in a little bit at a time. We don't want to dump it all in all at once because we don't want to knock all the air that we whipped into the meringue. And you can just keep, just keep folding. All right, so now that our batter's done, and you can do the little figure 8 inside, we're gonna put this in a piping bag, and then we're gonna pipe it onto our baking sheet.
So how we prepared our baking sheet was we used a piece of parchment paper and we used a stencil to draw the circles. And then we put another piece of parchment paper over top, and then we used binder clips to make sure it all stays in place.
Okay.
So that took a long time to do.
So I will hold the bag. I flipped the tip up here so it doesn't spill out the bottom. And then I'll have you fill it with the bag once I get this little wrinkle out. Okay, now that we have our piping bag filled, we're gonna twist the top, and a little might come out because we're kind of messy putting it in. And so how we're gonna pipe these on here is we're gonna keep the bag straight up and down and then cross it. So I'm gonna do the first couple because it's, the fuller the bag is, the harder it is.
Twist back up.
So you just want to apply a real gentle pressure, and then there you go. Alright, so we got them all piped on here. Our batter did get a little runny. I think we might have knocked a little bit of too much air out of the meringue. That'll happen. So either if you don't whip it up quite enough, or if you overmix the batter, sometimes it'll get thinner. So it's better to err on the side of under mixing the batter and then going from there. But it's okay. They won't be super pretty, but they'll taste delicious. So what we want to do is pick up the baking sheet and tap it like about 5 times on the table. And so what that does is it brings all the little air bubbles up to the top. Mm-hmm. And then what we can do if we're trying to be extra fancy is take a little toothpick and pop all the bubbles. But even if we don't, bringing them to the top is better, because then if they pop, even if it creates a little crater, at least the whole cookie won't crack. If they're trapped way down, the cookie can crack. So now we're gonna leave these sit here for about a half an hour to an hour and let them kind of dry out, so then the little skin will form over the top. And that is what creates the feet, because then all the hot air gets forced out of the bottom and creates the feet. All right, so we let the macarons sit for about 45 minutes to form a skin over the top. And what that does is allow the little feet to come out of the bottom.
And now they're in the oven at 300 for 20 minutes.
So now we're gonna make the buttercream. So to make the buttercream, we obviously need butter, powdered sugar, a little bit of milk to help thin it out. And then typically you would use vanilla extract, but in this case, we're gonna make raspberry buttercream. So we're using raspberry extract, and then whatever food coloring you need.
And the butter is at room temperature.
Yes. So if you want to start by putting the butter in the mixing bowl.
We are using the paddle attachment for the mixer.
Alright, so if you want to start whipping the butter. So to make a good buttercream, first you want to whip the butter for about maybe like 3 minutes to really add some air into it, and that'll make the butter turn kind of a more white color. And that's how you get your buttercream to be really white and not yellow. Okay. So now that we've let the butter whip for a couple minutes, we're going to add the powdered sugar. So we need 1.5 cups, and we measure it the same way we did the flour. So now that you added the powdered sugar in, let's kick it up. You want to start it on a slower speed, otherwise we're going to have powdered sugar everywhere. So now that we have our butter and powdered sugar whipped together, it's time to add our flavoring and our food color. And then once that's all mixed in, we'll look at the consistency and see how much milk we need to add.
So now we're going to add some milk to thin it out a little bit. We're just adding one for now and see how the consistency turns out. So I wanted to say something about the buttercream, that ours only needed 1 tablespoon of milk, but depending on how thick or how thin your buttercream is, you might need less milk or more milk, or you might not need any milk. The macarons just finished cooling, so we're going to put the buttercream in the center and make the sandwich. These 3 are done, and we're gonna do these 2. So you just pipe some on there, and then take the other half and put it on. And then you have your little... And make sure to be careful when you're taking them off of the parchment paper, because some of the middle can come out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please give a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!